Ew. 55. Did I say ew already? It's horrible. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Sarah, and I hope each and every one of you is having a beautiful day, hopefully in stark contrast to wet and wild rain day number 4,328 here in Western New York. Thanks, Weather Channel. But at any rate, thanks for joining me in this video. If you are new to the channel, thanks for coming along, and I hope you'll consider subscribing. If you've been here for a while, thanks for coming back and joining me for the very first episode of the new series on the channel for ZWIFT Academy Try 2020. In today's video, I'm going to be taking on workout number 1 for the cycling portion of the Academy. But before I get started, I do want to go through some of the basics and the particulars of the ZWIFT Academy Try series so that you can understand how it's different than ZWIFT Academy Road and Run. If you're new to ZWIFT, or you're new to the channel, or just new to the academies in general, hopefully this will help you out. I will leave chapters down in the show notes below, so if this portion isn't relevant to you, you can go ahead and skip ahead to the workout portion. But ZWIFT Academy Try, much like Road and Run, is an 8-week-long program. It starts today on October 29th, and you have 8 weeks to complete all of the deliverables. You can sign up until November 27th, so you have several weeks. So if you're catching this video a little bit later, you still have time to sign up and join along in the journey. Now, those deliverables you need to complete in order to graduate are a series of workouts and events. In this case, you're going to have to complete 10 workouts in contrast to the 8 for Road and Run. But this makes a little bit more sense for this academy as you have 2 different disciplines, and it allows a little bit more variety for each of the 2. So you're going to get 5 cycling workouts and 5 running workouts. Those workouts are created by Dr. Dan Plews, who is a very handy athlete and coach, as well as a scientist and researcher in the field of applied sport. On top of those 10 workouts, you're going to have to complete 2 events. So this is reduced from ZWIFT Academy Road to give you back some of your time, taking away 2 events to put them into the 2 workouts. And this is very straightforward. It's definitely not as complicated as ZWIFT Academy Road with the different types of group rides and different types of races. This is 1 race from each discipline, 1 time trial for cycling, and 1 5K running race for running. And that's it. Once you've completed all of those deliverables, you are completed with the academy and you will graduate. Now, you're going to get some good unlocks along the way for each of the 2 disciplines. You are going to get a pair of socks, both cycling and running, a cycling cap and a running cap, and then a cycling kit and a running shirt. Once you've completed all the workouts and races, then you will get the final unlock, which is a helmet, which is actually kind of cool because there are not very many helmets in the game. So those types of unlocks are actually very much coveted right next to unlocking bikes. So you're going to get the specialized TT helmet, which is going to be fast and kind of cool looking. So it's a cool carrot at the end of the stick to graduate from the academy. But there's also the grand prize, which I think, in my opinion, is much better than the ZWIFT Academy Road prize because this is much more attainable to the amateur level. So this is going to unlock 6 total spots. 3 men and 3 women will be chosen as finalists to go to the most supported amateur triathlon team in the world. And these folks get every advantage possible. They get pro-level equipment, pro-level coaching, opportunities, concierge service to get them qualified and to compete in the World Championship event in Kona for Ironman. So this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for an amateur triathlete. It's something that many people can't attain on their own because of the lack of support or structure or coaching or equipment. So this gives talented folks the opportunity to contend for one of those spots, and those spots will be chosen in March of 2021. Let's hope that there's some resolution to the pandemic between now and October of 2021, and that we will see a Kona next year. But at any rate, that is the end of the academy structure. Very simple, very straightforward, much less confusing. Let me know if you have any comments or questions down below. I'll do my best to answer them down there, and I recommend you go check out the ZWIFT Academy website. It will give you more of the terms and conditions and particulars when it comes to how to contend for those grand prizes. But today's workout, I'm going to be taking on the endurance strength development. Now, this isn't a particularly fun workout. This is endurance work. And yes, I am looking at you chronic Zwifters, for those of you who like to blow off endurance work. No, it's not fun. It's not sexy. It's unbelievably boring. But it is also unbelievably important, and so many people just turn themselves inside out for every single event. So whether they're racing every single day on Zwift or doing high intensity interval training 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week, you're just working backwards. All you're doing is building up fatigue, and you're limiting your capacity to grow as an athlete and grow your power. So you really need to be a little bit more well-rounded as an athlete and continue to work in your endurance zone. Find ways to get through it. The endurance is building building the foundation and base of your fitness. It's extremely important. Let's say I were to give you a series of blocks and told you to build a tower. If you started with a very small base and tried to build upwards, to build the tallest tower that you could with those blocks, it's going to topple over very quickly. This is very well analogized to building your fitness only based on sharpening that very high end. You're going to topple, you're going to fatigue, but if you spend a little bit more time building a nice wider base and foundation on which to build your tower, then you make that top end a lot more stable. By improving your efficiency, your resilience, your biological durability at that base level, at that endurance, at that tempo zone, it becomes a lot easier to run at that power level. Your heart rate will be lower, your breathing will be less labored, you're going to have more cardiovascular as well as muscular efficiency built up so that you're going to be pushing your maximal power up from the bottom. Yes, it's important to do those high intensity interval work as well as races, but it's not the only thing that should be included in your training. Find a way to get through it, find something good to watch on TV, play a game, listen to a podcast, some music, an audiobook, whatever you can to get you through workouts like this, but it's extremely important not to blow this off. And this isn't even that long. This is an hour and 5 minutes of your time, spending a lot of it working. It breaks it up into smaller, more manageable intervals so that you're not just continually sitting at one solid, boring ass power, but it's important. Continue to work your endurance. That's why this ZWIFT Academy Tri is actually a lot more well-rounded in terms of cycling performance than just ZWIFT Academy Road, which is very focused on that high-end power. But I'll go into a few more details on the workout. Again, very straightforward, but I'll go through my thoughts and context when I'm done. But I'm gonna get ready and get on the bike and let you know the details afterwards. Not happy, Bob. Not happy. I did not like that workout. Not even a little bit. Kind of sucked, actually. Not particularly pleased with it. And for you grinders out there, you might actually love this workout. There's a lot of low cadence work here. Might be your bread and butter, but I absolutely despised it. For those of you who say endurance work is too easy, tempo, no way, I gotta work VO2 max or bust, I challenge you to try this workout because you're definitely gonna tax your legs. This is kind of like a leg day light at the gym. You're definitely gonna put a lot of tension into your legs. The best way I can describe my state of being for this entire workout was annoyed. I spent an hour and 5 minutes just being perpetually annoyed at the fact that I had to concentrate and maintain an absolutely unreasonable low cadence, but the purpose of the workout was definitely clear, and I got through it because I understood that it was building other fundamentals, even if I didn't like it. Work your weaknesses. So I'm going to go through the structure. It's actually a pretty straightforward structure here, but I'll break it down a little bit into further detail so that you are more clear on how this is going to work. You're going to start with a very short warm-up on this one. It's going to be 5 minutes ascending, starting you at about 50% of your FTP and working you up to about 75% of your FTP. Then you're going to move into a very brief set of 2 primers. It's going to be about a minute each. So you're going to go 40 seconds on at 80% of your FTP at 65 RPM, 20 seconds off at, that's going to be 55% of your FTP at 90 RPM, and then you're going to repeat that one more time, and then you're going to get a 1 minute rest to reset your cadence at 90 RPM at 55% of your FTP. Then you're going to work into a block. These are all 9 sets of the same power output, but with varying cadence. So if you look at it on the graph, it's literally going to be 9 identical blocks, all 6 minutes each. So your first set is going to be 4 minutes at about 83% of your FTP at 65 RPM. Ugh, gross. Like, yuck. 65 RPM is definitely gross. I do not like that one bit. So you're just going to maintain that 65 RPM at the 83% of your FTP, and then you're going to get a 2-minute recovery valley, and that's going to be at 55% of your FTP at 90 RPM or a little bit higher. So you're going to be able to kind of keep those legs moving a little bit quickly and reset. Then you're going to go into another 4 minutes at 83% of your FTP, this time at 60 RPM. If it didn't get bad enough at 65, now we're at 60 RPM. So that's pretty awful. Then you're going to get another 2 minutes of rest at 55% of your FTP at 90 RPM. And now you're going to get another 4 minutes at 83% of your FTP at 55 RPM. 55. Ew. 55. Did I say ew already? It's It's horrible. 55 RPM. Even for you grinders, I think 55 RPM is low. So that's pretty awful. Then you're gonna repeat that 3 times. So the 65 RPM effort, 4 minutes on, 2 minutes off. The 60 RPM effort, 4 minutes on, 2 minutes off. And then the 55 RPM effort, 4 minutes on, 2 minutes off. So you're basically gonna take that block of 3 sets and you're gonna repeat that until you hit that total of 9. Then you're going to get a very brief 3 minutes of cool down. It's gonna ramp you back up to 75% of your FTP and work you down to about 50% of your FTP. So pretty straightforward looking graph. The real bread and butter of this workout is in that low RPM. So a couple of tips, starting with nutrition. This is definitely the type of workout that you can do fasted. It's not going to be a huge sugar or calorie burn. You are gonna be outside of your fat burning zone, but this is something you don't have to have a whole lot of fuel on board. Just make sure that you replenish your glycogen stores when you're done. Note on erg mode, if you have an older trainer or a wheel-on trainer, I actually would suggest that you turn this off. ZWIFT does not handle low cadence in erg all that well, especially on the older trainers. So you may have some trouble with it bogging down a little bit, especially with wheel-on trainers as you bring that cadence down. So you might be better off just trying to modulate your power manually in that regard. You're not looking at super high intensity efforts, so this would be a lot easier to do in this workout. If you're using a newer direct drive trainer, you should pick a harder gearing to do this workout. So pick something big ring in the front and a larger cog in the rear, because that flywheel is going to pick up a little bit more momentum, which is going to make this feel a lot smoother at the lower cadences. If you pick an easier gear, so your small ring in the front and your big cog in the back, what's going to happen is that flywheel is not going to move as quickly, and you're going to feel a lot more herky-jerky when you are hitting the pedal strokes. You're going to kind of feel almost like the flywheel is kind of start, stop, start, stop. So as long as you're keeping that momentum and keeping that flywheel moving at a constant pace, you're going to feel pretty smooth, even though you're going to be putting a lot of tension and pressure into the pedals. In terms of fitting this into your overall training plan, this is something that can fit in really well as a recovery day or a low tempo day. This is also a great workout if you're doing a 2-a-day or a brick session. So you're not going to be putting a whole lot of load in the system and your heart rate is not going to be that high here. You are going to feel this in your legs after the fact. It's not going to feel super sore, but you're definitely going to feel that tension. So with that in mind, the brick sessions, just be aware of that, but still being able to do a run workout and a cycling workout in the same day, this is a good option for that. The last thing to note is the transitions between the high and low cadence. You're going to take several seconds, probably 15 to 20 seconds actually, to really settle in when you're jumping from 90 to 65, 60, or 55 RPM. Don't be super worried about that. That's completely natural. You need to be able to either get your gearing straight or let that resistance catch. So just take your time. It's not really a huge deal. As long as you're doing most of that 4 minutes at that low cadence, you're doing the workout as prescribed. Recommendation is maybe start dropping the cadence by 10 to 15 RPM at the least at the very end of your recovery valley, and then continue to drop it into the working set. Usually revving it back up is really not that difficult at all. It's a lot easier to go from 60 to 90 than it is to go from 90 to 60. That's pretty much it, guys. This is a pretty straightforward workout. It's intended to target your endurance strength or muscular endurance. Do it as prescribed. Hit those cadence intervals as they're outlined by the on-screen instructions. If you're doing this at your self-selected cadence, you're definitely not going to get as much value. Ticking off 82-83% of your FTP at a comfortable cadence is pretty easy for most people, but doing it at these lower cadences and really taxing those muscles and putting in a lot of torque rather than leg speed is going to be where the challenge lies in a workout like this. So you're going to get more benefit than just your endurance work. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to leave them down below. I'd love to engage with you guys more down there. Please take a minute to hit the like button if you got any value out of this video. It really does help the channel and the video quite a bit. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell and all the things, all the buttons down there underneath the video. Thank you guys so much for watching and making it all the way to the end of the video. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.